Okay, okay, okay.
All right, we are about to get started in 2 seconds. And unfortunately, I don't think anything's going to happen at the Game Awards as far as like Titanfall goes. And this music is it's a mix of Doom and Cyberpunk. Pretty cool in my opinion. All right, let's. This is mostly going to just be a sort of talking. I found some videos that I find sort of interesting as far as like Titanfall 3 is concerned. There's a couple in particular. Let me see. Hold on, there was another one. Let me find it. Where was it? Maybe it was Mint Blitz did a video. Oh. Where is it? Yeah, Mint Blitz did one.
So to catch you guys.
Here we go. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna happen, to be honest. They got so much other stuff going on with... Well, Vince is doing Battlefield now. You go ahead. Yeah, so Vince is doing... Because Vince is doing Battlefield. And then... Respawn has been doing Star Wars. They've been doing a bunch of stuff. So I just don't see a world where Respawn makes a Titanfall 3 in the next, like, several years. I think they have interest. I just don't know if they have the team or the budget. So, and then they've also got plans to basically make an Apex 2.0, which I think it's coming out next year. Let me find it. I swear I saw this. Yeah, it's making the second. Yeah. So it's making an Apex 2.0. Yeah, so while I definitely think there's like interest, they're just so focused on making more Apex stuff that there's basically no way. Yeah, so they're basically taking it into a new engine. It's going to be after Battlefield 6. That's crazy, though. Apex rakes in money for EA every single year. So they make money for EA every single year, and it says they have not headed in the direction we've wanted to in terms of performance. What does... I've only got one hand right now, so let's... Where's Apex on the... It has 200,000 max concurrent players in a 24-hour period, which just destroys Call of Duty, which is like one of the major competitors of Warzone. I'm looking for a number. So obviously it's bigger than Dune Awakening as far as peak. Loses to PUBG, loses to Dota, loses to CS, which is all normal. But like there's nothing else on here. Nothing else I see. But I guess like 200,000 concurrent players isn't enough money, isn't enough revenue for them to be considered as Apex to be considered a successful game, which makes no sense to me. That is bananas. That should be a success in literally anyone's mind. Apex should be considered successful if they pull in 200,000 players in a 24-hour period. That's crazy talk. So they're making Apex 2.0. But I guess, so a couple of things, just a quick background. I can't play video games right now. I got into an accident in April, and I do not have hand function, so my hands don't really work that well. I talked about it a little bit on my last stream, that I had a buddy of mine play Titanfall for me, and I kind of like tried to coach him through it. Oh, the Titanfall extraction shooter. I forgot about that too. Which is... But I'm getting a controller. Should be this next week, because it should be shipping today. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if a Titanfall extraction shooter is what I want, but I think at this point I'd take any Titanfall game. But yeah, I'm getting a controller this week that I should be able to play with. But for now, I'm kind of out of commission until then, and I have been since April 27th. We'll probably do a video on that at some point. But anyways, so I was like, I want to go through because I see this is the channel in particular that I see post these videos all the time about Titanfall 3, and it makes me irrationally irrationally annoys me that these games can that these like channels just throw the word Titanfall 3 into a title, which is ironically what I did for my stream, trying to prove a point a little bit. And I'm like, well, maybe there's always something in here. And it's so Titanfall 3 just got leaked. That is the promise of the video. The promise of the video. What's up, Fear? Good to see you. Titanfall 2 is the only Titanfall thing we have left, so let's just be thankful. That's true. If it really was an extraction, they decided to cancel it, seeing our creators. They probably did. I mean, Marathon is still going ahead too, and Marathon looks like a dumpster fire. I played the alpha when I was still gaming, and the alpha was kind of meh overall. No, I can't play Titanfall 2, Fear, unfortunately. Like, physically unable to. It's my chat box on there. Okay. Clickbait Central. Yeah, so this channel, this channel in particular frustrates me. And I know I'm like rage hating and just hating. Like, I don't know how they have 176k subs when all their channel is just like huge leak. They did it. Reveal leak. This is huge. This is huge. This is big. They did it. This is big. They leaked it. It's so huge. This is big. They did. It's just like the same stuff over and over and over again. It's just bananas. I'm gonna keep saying that. It's just crazy to me. And they just keep posting the same, like, it's a mix of AI thumbs in backgrounds and just like all this garbage. And it seems like every now and again, when their content takes a dip in viewership, they try to post a game that's going to get clicks, and they seem to always do Titanfall. So look, 219, 17, 45, 54, 85, 219, 64, which like 64 is great. I mean, I would take those viewers, right? But like, oh, it's just crazy. So I wanted to pull the video up and actually watch it to see, because the video is Titanfall just got leaked, which leads me to believe, I'm clicking on the video, wow, Titanfall just got leaked. That's crazy. That means they're going to make Titanfall.
Been one of
and that's not at all what the video's about.
The most requested games in the entire world for years.
Okay, so Shatterpoint, I'm actually very excited for, because they have like multiplayer tech tests and stuff. Because they've got, I'm in here, and that's going to be a game that I play whenever I get my hand function. Diesel Knights, I have not seen anything from them in months. And truth be told, this is for Shatterpoint and for Diesel Knights. It scares me that they're not making any single player content to go with the multiplayer component, because for a multiplayer game, you have to have multiplayer people to play it, right? So if you don't have a high enough player base, your matchmaking times are going to be high, your community is going to be small. Like, you need at least 200 players around the clock, right? To where they can support a multiplayer only game. I think they should at least make like a Titan defense, like a Titan, what is it, a Frontier defense and all that. We're kind of right. They were right in the sense that it was being developed and then, yeah.
Seemingly hasn't paid off to any degree. Every year, tons of new leaks come out about Titanfall 3, and it seems like Respawn Entertainment hides little teasers in Apex Legends, but nothing ever turns into a formal announcement or confirmation that the studio is ever going back to their roots and finish the trilogy. Despite being two extremely praised FPS games, neither Titanfall 1 or 2 managed to break through EA's sales expectations. And after Apex Legends,
also lots of trailer videos.
The publisher had no interest in trying a third time. But as of recent, there's been a surprising amount of Titanfall 3 leaks that have started to trickle out across the internet. We've had Apex Legends leakers who have said that the game is coming out next year. We've had Jeff Grubb who says the contrary. So what's up with Titanfall 3? Did it leak? We're going to talk about everything you guys may have.
And Mario, you're right, it didn't leak. They said they were making it, or making a Titanfall game, and then they canceled it.
Missed. So check the video chapters for easy viewing, and let me know in the comments.
Okay, let's see what the video chapters are. Titanfall 3 just got leaked. Titanfall 3 leak details. Insider disputes. What is happening at Respawn? That might be interesting to see. It feels like Respawn Entertainment doesn't know what they're doing most of the time. Like they're never sure what they're working on.
Into the Titanfall 3 copium. Are you taking your pills? Let's get into it. So in case you didn't know, just as a little background, some Respawn devs have actually...
It may be me that I just get really annoyed that people from outside of the general player base of Titanfall, people who don't play the game regularly, are coming in and they're like, Titanfall. And I'm like, you guys don't even play the game.
Confirmed that there was a third Titanfall game in development at one point, but it was canceled and reworked into Apex Legends.
Which we knew.
Titanfall 2 financially underperformed. Thanks again, EA, for that one. From what I could gather from interviews, Titanfall 3 was being worked on by a small team within Respawn after...
What's up, drummer? Appreciate you.
But it never made it into full production. Now this...
Yeah, I'm sort of up and about. We're doing a chatting stream because I can't play just yet. Although, look, I can open and close my hand, which is progress. Because before, and I kid you guys not, when I first got hurt, my hands were just stayed like this. Like I couldn't even put them up. So now I can hands up. If anybody holds me at gunpoint, I can at least put my hands up.
Once a game finishes development, a smaller team within the studio will start working on ideas and outlines for the next game before it's officially greenlit by the publishers. So even though the game was technically in development at one point, that doesn't mean it was ever actually guaranteed to be finished. Think of it more like a prototype or a blueprint for Titanfall 3 as opposed to a full development roadmap. Now it's also worth noting...
Okay, but the same thing, so Battlefront 2 community. So the issue with that is again, it's like Battlefront 2 is such an easy game to play and get into. Like you don't have to, even with my limited hand function, I could probably get on Battlefront 2 and at least do okay. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're right. Most people who actually enjoy the game don't even play it or actively play it. Which, I mean, I've been guilty of that in the past where I'm always a big fan of the game, but then it's like whenever you make content and all you make content on is Titanfall 2 for years, it's really tough to keep making content on the same game that doesn't get any updates or get any new stuff, you know? Titanfall 2 is such a large fan base. Yeah, and so I think that's what kind of Mario's getting at too. This guy's voice is definitely on other channels. Or it's an AI. I don't know which.
Titanfall 3 technically existed,
or he just has that like generic guy voice, the generic male voiceover voice that every channel seems to have that does these kinds of videos.
Following Titanfall 2, it actually wasn't EA's decision to change course. According to the same Respawn developers who confirmed it existed, the game was turned into Apex Legends after Respawn saw the rise of Battle Royale games and felt the desire to do something different following the financial disappointment of Titanfall 2. Because even though Respawn's identity is tied to Titanfall, it's understandable that they would have gotten a little discouraged after Titanfall 2 underperformed, and they would want to do something new. So apparently, even though Titanfall 3 was in development at one point, it was never EA's decision to greenlight it, nor was it their decision to shut it down. Respawn started working on a third Titanfall game out of assets of Titanfall 2, but decided to change course and do something totally different before EA signed off on full funding, which is how we got Apex Legends instead. This brings us to our first leak, and that is coming from Asvaldator, who is a Apex Legends leaker, and they went on...
More Titanfall 3 info. Unreal Engine 5, almost complete. Single player campaign. I remember this when this came out. Main modes, extraction, other modes. I remember this. When this came out, whenever they put this on Twitter, I remember this circulating around a ton. I haven't touched Titanfall 2 in about a month. When I remember it exists and have a blast. Helldivers is phenomenal. I have not. I'm so frustrated I haven't gotten to play in a long time. I didn't get to play any of the modes where it was on Super Earth, which was a little frustrating for me. I don't think Titanfall 2 is going to get shut down unless that guy comes back and starts DDoSing again. But even then, we have North Star. Yeah, like, I don't even know. I've kind of had this conversation before where I don't even know if I want a Titanfall 3 from the current Respawn team. I just would love updates or something.
on Twitter and claimed that Titanfall 3
That'd be
is
amazing.
complete.
Just some new maps or something.
Information. They said more info on Titanfall 3. Unreal Engine 5 will be the engine. The game is almost complete. It will feature a single-player campaign.
I remember when this came out.
With battle passes. The main mode will be an extraction shooter, and it will feature other modes like Team Deathmatch, Control, Arenas, and all Titanfall 2
and this just
modes.
This just like blew up Titanfall Twitter.
Have a weather system as well. Now we have some comments from Jeff Grubb that I'd like to talk about where he said the contrary, so we'll talk about that in just a bit, but let's get to the next batch of leaks. Now the next bit of Titanfall leaks and rumors started circulating in early April when a leaker known as Yoritsuki tweeted out that they had actually gotten word about a third Titanfall game back in December of 2024, but they didn't say anything about it because they wanted to verify that the information was legitimate. However, they are now completely confident that Titanfall 3 is real and it's in development, and they're actually expecting it to be revealed at the 2025 Game Awards with a
Who said that? Mario, did you say that? Mario, that was definitely you who asked about Game Awards, wasn't it? We're gonna go back in the chat. Am I crazy? Did you make that comment earlier? It's gone on my screen. Even do 2 new maps and some skins. 100%. 100%. Oh, I'm glad they brought it to others. Okay, so they actually brought it to other planets. And not even close to releasing anytime soon. That's what's so crazy is it seems like every so often they kind of like it's gonna come out.
Actually very good with Respawn Entertainment projects, as they previously leaked various Apex Legends related things, including the massive heirloom overhaul that happened a while back. So they
when are let's see. Game Awards 2025. I love how scuffed this can be sometimes. So this year, December 11th. So that's a long time to even like, so we're gonna have to wait a while to even verify that one.
definitely have some kind of inside source at Respawn, and that alone makes me more inclined to believe this rumor over some of the other rumors as well. Now, Osvaldator also corroborated this leak as well. So yeah, it's just very interesting. It could be that both sources are the same people. However, it could be from various different sources. We're not exactly sure. So yeah, we have 2 Apex Legends leakers who have said that the next game is in development, and since Respawn Entertainment has a very quick turnaround time on their sequels, I wouldn't expect the game to be in development for very long. So if the report
it's too long.
I could see it being announced during the Game Awards this year and then drop next year. However, it's hard saying. Obviously, EA has been pretty skittish.
Right. And that's what's so frustrating is they're so close to making any kind of, this one's a bit more recent. This video from Mint Blitz, which Mint Blitz is he's usually a Halo YouTuber. He actually makes some pretty good videos. I don't know why I'm not subscribed to him, but we'll give this one a like. What's up, Kiwi? Yeah, I am just doing some chatting content because the gaming content is not going to happen for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem is all these leaks have come out and they were like, oh yeah, by the way, it's canceled. I'm just like, oh. Like I want to strangle a small child.
Titanfall 3 situation. Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we have an update on Titanfall 3 rumors, leaks, and wow. The latest information is one leaker says it's 100% happening, another gaming insider said it isn't, and then I actually went out of my way and asked around and I got told certain things. So I figured it's best I provide you with all of the information.
So Mint Blitz has certain insider knowledge here. All right, buddy, let's cough it up here.
And you, the person watching this video, can make up your own mind. The initial leak of information
We
said
shall.
that Titanfall 3 was in development, with a reveal that is imminent and a release potentially next year. Millions of players, myself included, thought, oh my god, is it actually happening this time? There has been so many leaks, people have gotten their hopes up for years. This
I believe I cried.
Leak verified by multiple people.
I probably
Although I have to say,
cried.
with how much players have been burnt in the past, expectations remain tempered. We've got a lot
I've definitely lost hope.
related today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the video. So to catch you guys up,
I've definitely lost hope. Like truly, what's up, Butter? Truly, it's easier to just not have any hope or opinion and just like leave it at that. Because if I'm gonna sit there and start like, man, I really hope it's just my disappointment will be immeasurable. And my day will be ruined.
If you did miss it, a leaker named Osvaldatore posted that a secret game at Respawn is in development. The leaker said that game is Titanfall 3. He went on to say Titanfall 3 will be announced at the Game Awards 2025 at the earliest, and then officially released 2026. As always, I said temper your expectations. You know how many times we've been burnt in the past, but I will say, remember this secret game in development? It is important context for later. Weeks went by, and the leaks seemed to gain even more steam. The whole gaming community was very excited at the prospect of a sequel to one of the best games.
You can tell Mint Blitz doesn't play Titanfall very much because of how much he's ADSing with the car. I do. It was definitely supposed to be a thing, and again, it's like we said earlier. I think I would rather have a Titanfall extraction shooter than have nothing at all. But I don't get it because they would absolutely print money hand over fist. If they would make a Titanfall 3,
ever been released.
It would be one of the biggest games of the year.
Wondered if a Titanfall 3 was made, would it even be a true
And that's
sequel
just a
at this
fact.
point? I put forward the idea that times have changed since 10 years ago. New matchmaking systems and skill-based matchmaking have changed the overall landscape and experience of online gaming.
I could see movement being a problem if it's an extraction shooter.
Titanfall 3 did come out, and
Or
you
what the
guys
movement.
commented on this too.
I do wonder what the movement would be like if that game had released.
That it wouldn't feel the same. This brings us to a few weeks after the leaks. A gaming insider, Jeff Grubb, he said he's looking into the Titanfall
Seagrave.
and said he'll publish his findings once he's had discussions with his sources. Then, everything went quiet. That was until Osvaldatore, the Titanfall 3 leaker, posted another post. People immediately questioned the validity of Osvaldatore's information, but people within the Apex community urged others that he has been accurate in the past. It's not like it's just some random guy leaking information. He has had a lot of accurate information.
Their stats don't, but I think it's almost gotten to the point of like a Half-Life 3,
it leaves a lot up to interpretation.
or like a similar situation where and that's one of the reasons they haven't even made it, and that's why they switched to Apex in the first place, is they didn't sell enough. Black Ops 7 will probably have advanced movement. Well, I'm hoping it does. Because Black Ops 7 will be either a buy or a no buy just based on the movement system.
Is completely up to the leaker. Remember,
I know that's sad because I know it's Call of Duty.
Torres post goes live. Again, millions of players are buzzing at the prospect that Titanfall 3 could very well be happening.
Yeah, I will 100 gaming. I'll 100%. If Black Ops 7 has wall running, I'll buy it.
The development on the project
easily
is almost complete. It is a live service game.
Exactly.
With battle passes that also has a campaign.
Valve doesn't do threes either, unfortunately.
The title also includes other modes such as TDM, Control, Arenas, and
Titanfall 2
classic modes from Titanfall
doesn't
2.
do threes, so Respawn and Valve.
A weather system. A lot of that just sounds like modern gaming.
Yeah, if they do wall running and omni movement, I'm on board.
Extraction shooter, and the fact that Unreal Engine 5 is
it does. So, and that's the problem is if they make a Black Ops 7, it'll be good for a year, and then they'll make Modern Warfare. What are we on 4? Yeah. Like if they'll just go on and make another game, and the game is good for a year. That's why when I buy a Call of Duty game, I never buy cosmetics for it, just because I know it's only going to be good for Warzone, because Warzone's the only perpetual game that Call of Duty has that doesn't change every year. But I know that in a year, my cosmetics, because I don't play Warzone, I play the game, I play the multiplayer.
Like Titanfall 2.
So Warzone's going to be good, but my cosmetics won't last for the game I actually play.
Valve's Source Engine, aka Counter-Strike. When you see all of that information, do you even want a Titanfall 3? Because a lot of that sounds like a lot of games that are already out. It sounds closer to an Apex Legends 2 than a Titanfall 3. To be truthfully honest, I think I'd only be invested in the campaign.
It is always overpriced too.
Highlight the Titans, I would 100% be sticking to all the legacy game modes.
And he's got Gears of War music in the background. It's definitely just like FIFA.
Maybe I am a boomer. Still, a lot of what I just read...
That's the Gears of War 2 theme whenever they're going out for Operation Land Down. That's crazy.
out would have long-term fans very conflicted, and the comments reflected that in my past video, but that is not where the story ends. So Jeff Grubb, the
So
insider
Mintblins has some taste.
published his findings and his article, and this is where I'll tie everything together for you all. Jeff posts his article and he says there is no Titanfall 3 currently in development. People immediately again question the validity of both the leaker's information and Jeff's article respectively. Jeff has a history of getting things wrong, but leakers
They lie about as much as
the
politicians.
story correct sometimes, as they are looking at data mine information. They need to assume what exactly these changes are and what are these test builds being used for. Jeff Grubb in rebuttal to
And that's Black Ops
Titanfall
2?
isn't real. It isn't in the works, let alone near completion, and close to an announcement for a 2026 release. In saying that, Jeff goes on to say yes, they are continuing work on Apex Legends as well as a secret
Close it. Oh, and then Fukuda left. Yep. Yeah, Titanfall 3 isn't real. It isn't in the works, let alone near completion, and close to the announcement for a 2026 release. Yeah, so
Skunkworks project featuring Titans. This project is years away. Skunkworks means they're throwing things together with a small team and testing many different things to see what works. But it's so early on, there's no definitive direction as to what is happening. It basically means a game is being created within the Titanfall universe, not necessarily Titanfall 3, but it features Titans. To add on to this, I also asked around, and what I got told was that there isn't a Titanfall 3. And maybe developers just aren't telling me because they want to keep it under wraps, but they said no Titanfall 3 in terms of player attention, and because of the release time of Titanfall 2, it had to compete with so many other games, it hurt the game quite a lot. I would argue, and I say this on everyone's behalf, that look at the core dedicated audience to Titanfall. Look at these players who a decade on from release still adore the franchise. Anything in the universe of Titanfall, even if it isn't directly called Titanfall 3, would be received very well, and I stand by those words. The story continues on. I would wager the information that Osvaldo...
I think it goes back to the stats. Again, like, they didn't sell enough of the first two games to make the third one worth it. So I kind of agree that although we're all kind of saying like, oh, like, we'd play it, they're sitting there and going, well, it's a risk to spend all that money and all that time making a new Titanfall game when all they can do is just make Apex 2 and print money. Even though I think they'd print money making Titanfall. They know, it's like, we think we'd print money making Titanfall 3, but we know we would print money making Apex 2. And so that's where they go with it.
Torre, the leaker, and
unfortunately
found are indeed accurate, but not necessarily for a Titanfall 3. This raises the question as to what the hell is happening over at Respawn. There's multiple explanations, one being a major update to Apex, something which is probably going to happen regardless. Another is an Apex Legends sequel, something that is also rumored to be happening for a long time. Or the third option, which has the most corroboration from everyone in the gaming space, and what I think is most likely, a new game within the Titanfall universe. It isn't necessarily Titanfall 3, but it features Titans. Ironically, and this is where it gets interesting, once Jeff Grubb posted no Titanfall 3, he had to admit himself, yeah, so there is a game, it is set in the Titanfall universe, it does have Titans, but it isn't Titanfall 3.
Yeah, I think that's the mindset.
What thickens. So here I think is the major difference. It's too early to tell
I was doing
exactly
Halo
what
music.
this game will be.
And Halo
so
CE.
take this with a grain of salt. This is just my guess. The new game will be featured in the Titanfall universe. It very well may have Titans. Pilots though, we have no idea. You would like to hope so. The major change is that it may be an extraction shooter. Just like Bungie, Microsoft, and other game developers at the moment, the new big trend is extraction. That would
Yeah, I
explain
think if
Osvaldo
nothing happens at the
Torres'
Game Awards, it's kind of hard.
Escape from Tarkov/Titanfall 3 teaser. I really think all of the information...
It's kind of hard to expect anything. If that's the case, if there's nothing at the Game Awards this year, then I think there's definitely
might
nothing.
not be correct. The reason I say that is people have interviewed Osvaldo Torre once he leaked this information and
Which
the rebuttal
sucks.
happened and all of that drama happened, and he 100%
Oh.
stands by what he says. Probably because he's read it, he's seen the data, and he's like, well, I see this stuff, it's probably happening. This raises the question, why is there the old game modes in the data mine? Well, it's because Titanfall 2, or the cancelled Titanfall 3, that was a year into development, will probably have bits and pieces drawn from the old games. It doesn't mean those game modes would necessarily be used, but they would be in the files at this early point. If you didn't know, a developer did come out and say Titanfall 3 was cancelled into development, so that's just some extra information for you all. In terms of an actual time frame, I think we're still quite a ways from reveal. Titanfall 2 does periodically go on sale on Steam, 90% off, and that helps keep the population fairly healthy. I find pretty fast games on the Steam version of the game, so if you do have an itch for some Titanfall Titanfall in the meantime, you can get games on that platform. And that's it. That is the entire Titanfall 3 situation. Key takeaway, key points: there's a new game happening in the Titanfall universe. It isn't necessarily Titanfall 3 and probably won't be Titanfall 3. Yes, Titans are involved. No, we don't know when the game is going to release. It could be an extraction.
I'm like 90% sure they canceled that game. They canceled a Titanfall game. I would play it too. Anything Titanfall related, like I play Apex.
Will tell. The good news is Titanfall fans will get a game in future, but there's speculation on what exactly it's going to be. I still have my concerns, and I know you guys too, that modern gaming may ruin things, but we will see once it is eventually announced. I spent weeks researching this because there is so much misinformation everywhere. I wanted to try to be as correct as possible, as so many of you watching this right now care so much about Titanfall, and I do too. In any case, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and
Yeah, so that's... Oh, look, it's Ethereal was in that game. That's funny. That dude was probably cooking. Cooking. Anything that has anything to do with Titanfall, I will 100% play. The question is just, what is it going to be? Is it going to be... Because, like, truthfully, it's a Titanfall universe. But most Titanfall fans see anything to do with Apex as a negative, as like a net bad thing, period, no matter like what it is. So the question for me is it a Titanfall game or is it an Apex game in the Titanfall universe? Like, which of those is it going to be? Because only one of those is going to satisfy the Titanfall players, whereas a game in the Titanfall universe is going to satisfy like Apex players. And there's a ton of crossover, like I play both. But it's going to make a lot of the Titanfall diehard fans like really upset, which is kind of understandable because I would love a Titanfall game. I would love a Titanfall 3, not just a Titanfall game, but I'll play anything that comes out.
As it stands, there are only 2 Titanfall games.
I thought this was interesting.
But Respawn had many more attempts. In fact, there's 5 Titanfall games.
It is a really unhealthy mindset, but that's the truth.
For a few weeks before they were deleted. Games.
The truth of the matter is that there's people who are only going to play it if it's a Titanfall 3. Whereas I would play anything. Like, they had Titanfall Assault and all that stuff. Like, I'll probably play any of it because I want to play it all. So, because I just like, I do, as much as everyone like complains about Titanfall versus Apex versus all that stuff, it's a question of, does Respawn make good video games? And the answer is unequivocally yes. Respawn has not really made, besides the Medal of Honor VR game, Respawn has not made a bad game that I can think of. I would say most of the mainstream who like, I would consider mainstream to be like Call of Duty players and Fortnite players, like those kind of people. They probably haven't played Titanfall. Or if they have, they tried it and they didn't like it because it was too hard.
That never saw the light of day, or only saw the light of day for a few weeks.
Alright, we're restarting this one.
As it stands, there are only 2 Titanfall games that ever released. But Respawn had many more attempts. In fact, there's 5 Titanfall games that never saw the light of day, or only saw the light of day for a few weeks before they were deleted.
It's Titanfall Assault. They showed Titanfall Online.
And some honestly looked stupid. So let's dive into
That's a Titanfall card game?
Starting with Titanfall Online. Titanfall Online was an interesting concept. It started development around 2015 and was essentially building off the Titanfall 1 engine to make a weird Titanfall 1.5. Titanfall Online was being developed exclusively for an Asian audience.
I remember back in this time period when this game was being made, there were so many different like Asian only versions of games being made. Like Halo Online, I think, was a thing at one point. Call of Duty was going to get one of these. And it was like these weird amalgamations of all of the franchise entries into like these one, like weird Frankenstein's monster of a game. I don't know. Yeah, the people who made Titanfall aren't there anymore, which is true. Most of them have gone. I think they'll make a good game. I just don't know if it'll be a good Titanfall game. Like, I don't know if the movement will be as fun.
and was being developed by Respawn Entertainment and Nexon. And trust me, you could tell. All of the pilots from Titanfall 1 had been reworked and made into beautified versions of the pilots.
Yep, the anime versions.
They didn't really look like pilots at all. You had
They do that so much, though.
A woman in casual clothes with a jump pack, which I think aesthetically is really cool. This guy and this lady. You also only had 4 classes of Titan within this version of Titanfall.
He said only 4 versions when you only had 3 in the first game. You had the Atlas, Ogre, and Strider. They added that other one, the Destroyer.
Atlas, Ogre, Strider, and classes of Titan.
Yeah, he said
this guy and this lady. You also only had 4
only,
classes
which
of Titan within this version of
they had more than the first
Atlas,
game.
Ogre, Strider, and Destroyer. Before the game even released, cosmetics were a big selling point. I mean, you could literally make your Titan look like this, and despite being built off Titanfall 1...
That skin actually is pretty cool. Imagine being a pilot, imagine being a grunt in the battlefield, fighting for your life, and you turn the corner on Angel City and you see that thing. And it just immediately melts you. Immediately.
It was going to have plenty of...
I would buy that.
Like a Titan shotgun.
That'd be super disrespectful.
Minigun,
There already was a Titan shotgun. Oh, I guess they took some of these ideas and made them into Titanfall 2.
content. Like a
Because that's Ronin's. Well, it's a version, I guess, of Ronin's. It's like multi-shot.
shotgun,
Shoots 3 at a time.
Minigun,
That's Legion's minigun.
a double-barreled pilot shotgun, which looked
This they actually took and made, and they put it into North Star, and it was pretty fun. Because this was supposed to be in Titanfall 2. And it got cut, so they re-added it to the game. When there were certain North Star servers you could use the double-barrel shotgun on.
absolutely awesome, and people loved it that much, they modded it into Titanfall 2.
Yep.
They were also going to release another exclusive pilot weapon called the Valkyrie Sniper Rifle, which was a bolt-action sniper rifle, very, very comparable to the Sentinel we have in Apex Legends today. As well as this, some
And that looks like it kills in 2 shots instead of 1.
Titans saw optional cosmetic overhauls, like the Atlas Titan, which had an armor upgrade, the Ogre Titan, which also had an armor upgrade, and this, and Titanfall Online, would be introducing exclusive maps, one of the most well-known ones being MIA, which was kind of like Derelict.
Oh, 100%.
Desert, which was really cool, and kind of gave like Battle of Jakku vibes from StarArs Battlefront. So,
But see, that's what I'm saying, is I would love for them to go back and add more guns to Titanfall 2.
well, it ran a closed beta in 2017, and the reception wasn't really all that good. In fact, the game on a whole was that negatively received that it ended up just not releasing. They later cancelled it in 2018. There were probably a load of factors to this cancellation, likely including the fact that only a month after the beta test ended for Titanfall Online, Titanfall 2 would release. I don't know why they didn't just make Titanfall Online on the Titanfall 2 engine, but the game was scrapped and left forever. But luckily, because the community is very passionate, there have been revival projects to bring Titanfall Online back to life, like TFO Revive, which is a team essentially finishing and remaking Titanfall Online, as well as...
I remember this project because I made a video on it whenever they asked me to do a video on this. But they haven't had an update since what, last December?
Revive, which is a team essentially finishing and remaking Titanfall Online, as well as being willing to make their own changes and modification to the game. So this TFO Online project could eventually become basically a fan-run live service Titanfall, kind of. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and if TFO Revive ever comes to light, I will definitely be playing it. Around the same time, another Titanfall game was cancelled.
Yeah, so they had me do one, or do a video on that to like get some exposure for it, I guess, and it wasn't even playable. They just, I can't even remember what I did for that video. What did I do? But regardless, I haven't seen an update from those guys since last December, and they were doing pretty consistent updates. I wonder if they're still working on it or not. That'd be interesting to know.
Because of bad reception.
What's R1 Delta?
Announced in 2018, Titanfall Frontline was going to be a Titanfall game, but for mobile.
I
It was
remember
essentially
this.
going to be a Titanfall card game using Titanfall 1 burn cards, and it was going to be a lot like Hearthstone.
I think it's so
People
dumb.
immediately did not like this idea, despite Respawn's efforts to get people interested in
This
the
is so
project,
stupid.
and even sending out little slips and physical copies of Titanfall 1 informing people about the game. They just didn't like what they saw with this Titanfall card game. It seemed extremely boring. It soft launched on Android in mid-September 2016, and then it was quietly cancelled in 2017 after pure negative reception. Luckily though,
I'm trying to think of what the other. I know he's going to talk about it. The other one that was like, almost like the Clash Royale version for Titanfall.
a lot of the art created for this game would later be reused in Respawn's second venture at a Titanfall mobile game. Yes, they tried again, but honestly, this next attempt was really cool. The next attempt was called Titanfall Assault, which was a mobile...
Is it for PC? Or is it for Xbox? It's probably for PC, isn't it?
strategy Titanfall game released in 2017. It reused the art style and some assets of Titanfall Frontline, but applied them in a super fun environment, because essentially this game was Clash Royale but with Titanfall. There would be a map that had control points, and you could drag and drop your troop cards to go capture these control points while fighting against another real person. The maps
So
were
on PC?
small versions of real Titanfall maps, but they were small for a reason. These fights were going to be quick and tough. You had to
May go down another rabbit hole.
choose the right cards for the right moments, and certain cards had certain attributes, like pilots could quickly parkour and cross the map, while Titans, despite being tough, had to slowly follow the path, but the payoff was worth it because they could beat pretty much anything else on the battlefield apart from the enemy's Titans. People absolutely loved this game. It was a great concept, and honestly, the attributes of pilots and Titans meshed perfectly to this style of game. Hell, they even invented their own types of pilots, like the Sim Ninja pilot, which was a phase pilot with a sword, or the Boomer pilot, who was
I think the Sim Ninja was supposed to be in Titanfall 2.
Titan, or the Spectre Captain, who commanded Spectres, or the Ghost, or the Arc Bruiser, or the Stim Bruiser. The game carried some really unique
There's so many good ideas in this game that they just obviously can't use.
concepts, and people enjoyed it, and it was active for a while, until some news dropped on July the 7th, 2018. Titanfall Assault was closing.
We received a tremendous amount of feedback. Our experiment is bringing Titanfall 2 as a competitive RTS experience to not translate as we had hoped. I wonder what they were hoping for. What were they hoping for that they didn't get out of Titanfall Assault?
Down. So why was this game that was pretty functionally good and fun and people enjoyed closing down? Well, Respawn said, unfortunately, our experiment in bringing Titanfall to mobile devices as a competitive real-time strategy experience did not translate as well as we hoped. It's with a heavy heart that we'll be concluding the
Yeah, like what did they want out of it that they didn't get?
30th. Until this date, we'll be turning off in-app purchases, and we hope you enjoy competing with one another up until then. Thank you for your passion and commitment. Unfortunately, it was the only one to bite the dust. But it wasn't the last. The next cancelled game is Titanfall 3. Yes, the Titanfall 3. It was being developed before Apex Legends. This was revealed to us by Mohammed Alavi, the lead narrative designer on Titanfall 1, 2, 3, Apex Legends, and another scrap Titanfall game I'll tell you about in a minute. And he revealed this information about Titanfall 3 on a podcast 2 years ago, and this was perhaps the biggest information drop and closure we got on Titanfall 3.
I mean, it's all money.
At the time, we were all guessing.
Captain, it's definitely money for sure.
Turned into
For sure.
Apex Legends.
And we worked on
Oh, which is frustrating.
for about 10 months in earnest, right? I mean, we had like
Which we knew
multiple
this, yeah.
We had multiple missions going. We had a first playable, which was like on par to be just as good, if not better, than whatever we had before, right? But I'll make this clear: incrementally better. It wasn't revolutionary, and that's the key.
Okay.
Right. And we were
So I think that's a huge difference too. Because from Titanfall 1 to Titanfall 2, the difference in gameplay and ingenuity was massive. It was a huge difference. But then from like Titanfall 2 to I guess what they were making with Titanfall 3 clearly wasn't revolutionary enough for them to be like excited about it. Because I remember I don't know if he talks about it in this or
decent about it, but not the same feeling. As
Yeah.
we were making something revolutionary.
And the reason they decided to turn Titanfall 3 a really hyped
Which
game
makes 100% sense. Like, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, then I can kind of understand not doing it at all.
to Apex Legends because Titanfall 3 simply wasn't living up to its standards. He said the game wasn't revolutionary and they were also having issues with multiplayer and doubts about the multiplayer in it as well.
The multiplayer team was like just dying, and then PUBG came out. and then they made a battle royale map with, you know, Titanfall 3 classes.
So essentially, like he said, they made a BR map for Titanfall 3, and then Titanfall 3 slowly started to turn into something different. Apex Legends. And the crazy thing is, Respawn were responsible for the shift of Titanfall 3 into Apex Legends, and Titanfall 3 into a battle royale, not EA, contrary to popular belief. And also, they kept this shift a secret from EA for a very long time. After this interview, the internet kind of blew up because he just casually dropped the craziest information about Titanfall 3 we'd heard in a long time, so he did have to drop a bit more context through a tweet. Also, to those not in game dev, 10 months of pre-production doesn't look like much of a product. It's not like a game was scrapped. A prototype was scrapped in favour for a more promising prototype. I appreciate the sadness, but trust me, there's nothing that you would have missed.
I even think
Titanfall 3 didn't need to be better than Titanfall 2. I think you feel that way because of how unique Titanfall 2 felt. If Titanfall 3 was more of the same, it would lack that feeling you were yearning for. I'd rather leave fans with memory than being disappointed with mediocrity.
I don't think it was like Titanfall 3 wouldn't have been. I don't think it would have been mediocre because if it's more of the same, that is really good. More of the same. But I also understand what they're saying, where they're like, yeah, we can't just release the same game, essentially. Like, we're not going to be Call of Duty, you know, for example. But it is interesting, though, that whenever they first started making the Titanfall Battle Royale, that it was a lot of Titanfall still. Like, it was a Titanfall Battle Royale. It was not yet Apex Legends until later on. They didn't, like, totally pivot away.
And there are also some other quotes that do line up.
Like, I remember they said they tried to make Titans work for a long time, tried to make pilots work in that movement, it just, like, wouldn't work.
Apex was first leaked, and it was announced as a Titanfall Battle Royale mode in development.
I just know what's coming.
That leaked this also revealed that Titanfall 3 was set to launch by the end of 2018, but the tech and underlying tech was dated, and Titanfall 3 probably wouldn't look or feel as good as it should have. So essentially, Titanfall 3 had the same issue that Half-Life 3 ran into. They made a bit of a prototype and just
lots of pauses
and felt like they weren't progressing the idea of the game and also the gameplay much at all. And because of the fact that Titanfall 3 was turned into Apex, when we take a closer look at Apex,
we would take more of the same, I think.
Some bits of Titanfall 3
truthfully,
and it carries some Titanfall,
which is so frustrating.
I'll tell you about soon. Firstly, these days it's assumed that the OG Legends were going to be pilots or pilot classes in Titanfall 3.
We know that.
Considering that in early concept art and footage, they are wearing pilot helmets. And even early on in Apex Legends, there was a class icon for a heavy pilot data mines.
Look at that Gibraltar. Look at Gibraltar as a pilot and tell me that doesn't slap.
Which was Gibby. Gibby was going to be the heavy pilot in Titanfall 3, and it was far along enough for Gibby to have a class icon. I mean, this is the class icon next to the phase pilot icon. You can see what I mean. So we can assume Wraith, Gibby,
like, look at that.
Also Bloodhound.
That Gibraltar looks super cool.
Were going to be pilots, but what were the pilots in Titanfall 3 going to be doing? Well, it turns out the Titanfall 3 multiplayer might have been a bit different to what we knew from Titanfall 2, as early data miners of Apex Legends that found lines relating to Titanfall 3 in the code determined that Apex would have been a squad-based Titanfall PvE shooter. Now, this is getting closer into theory territory because this is based off files data mined from very early Apex, but data miners did find a mission that they assume was for Titanfall 3, where you had to hunt a Goliath down. But there were some interesting twists, like the fact that the Goliath was immune to every single damage except from energy damage, so you had to find an energy weapon. And energy weapons were around the map, but they were in a care package guarded by poachers, also trying to find the Goliath. So you had to kill these poachers, take their energy weapons, and then kill the Goliath, which I imagine would have been a hell of a boss battle. After that, you would take the loot from the Goliath, so it seems extracting with loot could have been a big part of Titanfall 3, and then you were extracted to the bar, which most people assume would have been the home base of Titanfall 3. Now, this is inherent.
I don't even know if a new Titanfall game was going to come out.
When Sean
ever.
Wilson, one of the animators for Apex Legends and Titanfall, left Respawn and posted his show reel of all the work he'd done, there was this animation in his show reel, where there's loot on the ground, a pilot tries to take it, and then a Goliath kills the pilot. So then, a specialized Titan with a sword on his arm and a shield goes in to fight that Goliath.
Oh,
Data mined information
look at how cool that looks.
goes in to fight that Goliath.
That's like Assassin's Creed type blade work right there. That looks so cool with the shield.
Which, when combined with
Titanfall 3, why have you evaded me for so
Titanfall
long?
3 was going to be PvE, and this was a Titanfall 3 animation. That does bring to question that if any more of the animations in this guy's showreel are Titanfall 3 animations, like the pilot animations that he made for Pilot AI, which wasn't present in Titanfall 1 or 2.
I remember when this came out, this was super cool.
Considering the game was PvE, but then scrapped when Titanfall 3's idea was scrapped for Apex. And there are also a few more things in the showreel that could have been for Titanfall 3. Here's where it gets crazy though. You know these guys?
This is definitely self-harming.
The hover tanks with big cannons on them? Well, these were also made for Titanfall 3, but were reused for Apex Legends, because there was a Titanfall 3 mission data mined also, where you and a team broke into a base, one team would steal a hover tank, one team would fight a Titan to distract it, one team would take down the turrets, and another team would fight Reapers, while the hover tank team aims the hover tank to shoot a vault in orbit to crack the vault, which I assume would have dropped loot that you could then take back to the bar. So perhaps Titanfall 3 was going to be more of an extraction shooter, but with PvE. Honestly, we'll never get a true idea, and this data mined information here is a bit dubious.
This is so frustrating.
It was intended for an early version of Apex or a late version of Titanfall 3, but with some evidence that matches up, it does seem more like it could have been a Titanfall 3 thing. I mean, we do have to bear in mind, the Legends that had pilot concepts also had voice lines for the Goliath, Stalkers,
And Moy Parr is not even there anymore either.
surprising things.
Yeah, Moy left as well.
We will see like an early build of Titanfall 3 leak. We've seen early builds of Titanfall 1 shown to us years after Titanfall release, so maybe we'll see the same for Titanfall 3. But yes, it was real, it was in development, and it's now gone.
Which is
What
upsetting.
about the next Titanfall game that got scrapped? And it may surprise you, but this Titanfall
I remember this one. A PvE extraction shooter sounds amazing. Like doing raids with large-scale teams, it'd be phenomenal. I'd be so for it. I'm kind of sick and tired of losing in PvP stuff.
game was in development after
I remember this too. This was upsetting.
and unfortunately got scrapped only 2 years ago. This game was going to be called Titanfall Legends, and it was essentially going to live up to its name. It was going to be a mix of Titanfall and Apex Legends. But unfortunately, it was announced during February of 2023 that this project was scrapped and the people working on it were moved to other projects or potentially laid off. But
I think there's a missed opportunity. Yeah, so like he was talking about having like 3 or 4 different squads like doing the mission. Yeah, you could have him do like surgery, like almost like Payday 3 type stuff. Or not Payday 3, Payday 2, because Payday 3 was bad. But I think there's a missed opportunity for EA, and why they don't make some kind of single player component and then they put it into Apex in some way. So like where Warzone or Call of Duty rather has a multiple game launcher, do that with Apex. So you, from the same launcher, you can launch Apex, or you can launch the single player, and do a single player something for Apex or for Titanfall and Apex or whatever. That PvE concept of like going in, doing some kind of raid, like that would be so fun. I think I'm just so ready for something new and fresh, because I really enjoy Titanfall 2. I really enjoy Apex, but we've had Apex for 6 years now. Titanfall's been around for 9 this year, 10 next year. I want something new. I want something fresh, but I want it in the universe I enjoy.
Well, we know
So bad.
about the gameplay. First of all, according to Jeff Grubb, the gameplay was supposed to be heavily movement focused, and it would bring back wall running. Also, the combat was fast paced like Doom.
Gameplay was supposed to be heavily movement focused and feature wall running from Titanfall. This is the sentence that makes me the most upset. Combat was fast-paced like Doom, using John Wick and even Tony Hawk for inspiration. That sentence makes me want to headbutt a brick wall as hard as possible. That sounds like the best game of all time right there. That sentence, those two sentences, sound like Game of the Year material content from Respawn. Respawn was cooking. And it makes me so sad. So incredibly sad. It like makes me want to cry. Because that sounds amazing. That little bit right there. So
and
stupid.
John Wick and even Tony Hawk for inspiration.
Oh.
In this game, you would play as Blisk and you would meet legends from Apex Legends and they would lend you their powers temporarily. So
That sounds silly. The lending of powers. But oh my gosh. But John Wick and Tony Hawk and Doom. It definitely sounds like Get to the Orange Door.
and even Tony
The Doom though, that's where I'm like, some violence,
Hawk
some
for
gore,
inspiration. In
some
this game,
goodies.
You would play as Blisk and you would meet legends from Apex Legends and they would lend you their powers temporarily. So maybe you could meet Wraith and then you unlock a phase ability.
That'd be so good.
Like that. And because of this information, we can kind of figure out when Titanfall Legends started development, or at least the concept in stage. Because around Season 9, Blisk disappeared completely from the lore. He was in it almost every season, but after Season 9, he disappeared. And he did not come back until the most recent season in the most recent trailer. So it shows that Respawn were planning to use Cuban Blisk for Titanfall Legends because they took him out of Apex, so there wouldn't be lore clashes with Apex and Titanfall Legends. This was confirmed in a roundabout way by a developer.
I do kind of want to know if it was going to be a prequel or not.
Because people were asking the developer, where's Blisk? And he essentially said, Blisk went on an adventure, but he forgot his stuff for the adventure, which left him lost in space. And that's why he wasn't in the Apex lore. Essentially, the adventure was Titanfall Legends, and the project getting cancelled caused him and his lore to get lost in space and essentially be in stasis. Luckily, like I mentioned, he is back in the Apex lore, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Also, throughout the game, you were going to have a Titan, and this would be BT. You would prepare him, upgrade him in Rampart's workshop, and pilot him during the campaign. And if you're not
That's interesting to wonder how Jack Cooper's Titan would have gotten to Cuban and how they would have explained that one.
aware, Rampart's workshop is the one on World's Edge. This thing right here. So this does confirm a very long-standing theory that the boxes behind Rampart's workshop have parts of BT in them. This literally confirms it. This box right here has BT in it. But I guess now he's stuck there because Titanfall Legends got cancelled. Also, there would have been a lot of Titanfall lore in this Titanfall Legends game, like the location of the Ark. Also, it was never going to be Titanfall 3. It was always going to be Titanfall Legends. The concept of the gameplay sounds awesome, like a Doom Eternal style Apex Titanfall hybrid with wall running where you also pilot BT sounds amazing. And the fact that this got scrapped and we'll probably
Makes me
never
wanna cry.
ever see any hint of what Respawn had worked on for it or even a bit
That
of
makes me
gameplay,
so sad.
makes me very sad. And this dream seems to be pretty much dead in the water. And because of this, most people would assume, so is the Titanfall dream dead?
I wonder why they canceled it, like what the internal reason was for it.
But no, for a few years now, there have been rumours that there's been a small team within Respawn that's been slowly growing, that's working on a new Titanfall game. At the start, when the news initially drops that Respawn were kind of prototyping a game in the Titanfall universe, everyone was like, yeah, this is going to get cancelled. But slowly, and slowly over time, this project's not been cancelled, and in fact, it's been gaining more traction, more approval, and more people working on the project. This has been confirmed several times, and the last confirmation that we had that this project was still on was a year ago. But there are rumours going around right now, and it seems this
And I think they
project-
canceled that one, didn't they? Yeah, see, look. First comment, Titanfall 3 didn't need to be revolutionary. Just a longer story, more maps. Then when the engines got better, they could change it. They wanted to do VR too. Yeah, a Titanfall 3 looter shooter would be amazing. I disagree with that. I really do think Titanfall Legends would have been fun. Just because of the cut from Titan 2. Pop that one on here. Let's do this guy. Seems like he makes good stuff.
I've been a long-time FPS fan throughout the years, but
It'd be relevant for so long.
Of one type of FPS the most, it'd probably be the arcade shooter, the fast respawns in a tight arena where your goal is to go at it again and again. There's been a lot of arcade shooters throughout the years, but as of more recently, the arcade shooter has...
Is that Gotham Imposters?
The more popular battle royales and objective-based shooters of the recent years have kept the mainstream spotlight for a while. And while I do enjoy quite a few of those games, hell, this channel wouldn't exist without them, I can't help but feel something missing when I finish playing them. Something I could only find in a proper, old-school arcade shooter. There are actually quite a few arcade shooters on the market right now, but none of them really hit that same feeling. Halo and Call of Duty are still around, but their newer games too aren't hitting that.
They're definitely not the same as they used to be. There's like not that same flair.
The last game that I felt that way about had to be...
Stand by for Titanfall.
Yep.
Titanfall 2 was an arcade shooter developed by Respawn Entertainment and released...
A movement shooter.
Wait, what? A decade? No, that can't be... Holy shit, I'm old. Before I retire to the old folks' home, I want to take the time to look back at this game in full and find out what it is about Titanfall 2 that hits my arcade shooter sweet spot. Which
Everything.
ASSS for the rest of the video. So, let's find out why TF2 hits my ass so hard.
Movement was the biggest part of it.
There are two major things to understand about Titanfall before we hop in. Number one, the Titanfall games are movement shooters.
Yep.
They're games that take inspiration from traditional platformers and creating a fun movement kit for you to use as you play. Playing as the pilot, wall riding, and double jumps are the key to your experience, and help to make you feel more powerful from the grunts and specters in your way. Everything from the weapons, tacticals, enemies, and map designs are built to incorporate your movement into it. And then number two, Titans. What, did you expect something different? No, it's in the title! Titanfall 2 lives on the balance of its two gameplay styles. The high-speed movement shooting of the pilot, and the shift to intense mech versus mech action in the Titans. Add on tactical abilities, kill streaks, enemy AI, and more, and you have one of the most complicated arcade shooters to learn as you start. So
It definitely is one of the hardest, but I also think it's probably one of the most rewarding. Because there's such a high skill ceiling, so you can just constantly always learn to get better.
Players these parts of the game without it feeling too jarring. So let's try to learn the game in the campaign.
I want to see if there's... Let's just do multiplayer. Campaign we know about. I want multiplayer.
Now, let's get on to the multiplayer. This is a pretty old game now, and most people have moved on to Apex Legends or other games, so I'm expecting that finding a game will take a while. Oh! Despite 8 years passing by, TF2 still has a pretty consistent multiplayer base to play with.
Wrong one.
Not that TF2, the other one.
There we go.
It genuinely took me no more than a few minutes at any time to find a lobby in the game. And while I often played against the same people, I still had consistently full lobbies of players, which made sure I got the fullest for my time in the multiplayer. And what's the multiplayer like? It's fun. What, did you expect me to have a long essay on Titanfall 2's multiplayer gameplay? What am I, an essay channel? Oh. Your average game of TF2 goes like this. You drop into the map and fight the enemy pilots to build up your Titan, killing grunts and hopping around like it's your own personal playground. And then... the first Titan drops in.
That feeling is so accurate too. The feeling of turning a corner, there being a Titan, and you're like, yeah, so this is the end, isn't it?
Your playground has suddenly shrunk as you now have to play around the giant mechs populating the space. A cat and mouse game as you try to fight...
Trying to see if I recognize any of the names that he's playing with.
Hit the final phase of the multiplayer game. The crazy part. Pilots, Titans, and everything in between all together in one blend of mayhem that can only be ended with a ship going to nowhere. And when you've either wiped the enemy or escaped on the dropship, you finish up by leveling up your accounts and unlocking new abilities, weapons, and gear in the process. as well as earning credits you can use to unlock things early or buy cosmetics. After that, we go again. An average game is chaotic, constantly ramping up in intensity until the grand finale. But it can be pretty hard to keep up with, and your first game is going to look something.
And see, that's kind of one of the things we were talking about before, was the fact that most people will talk about how good of a game Titanfall is, but they won't actually play it for very often or very much. And the fact that, like, so that review, I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, he was like level 30 something in his reviews. And it's like, so you are okay. So he makes a review basically talking about how good Titanfall is, but hasn't played the game for longer than it takes to be level 36. It's like, so if the game is that good, do you just get that bored of it that fast? Because you were definitely only playing that game for the footage for your review. Anyways, that's just me being salty. Because we were talking about people not playing Titanfall for very long. So, well, and that's the best part of it. The fact that you can just hit a spacebar and get back into the game, and you're like, boom, I'm back. Let's roll. Let's play some more Titanfall. You don't have to sit back and wait for respawning or loot. You know, you don't have to wait for your friends to take your card to a loot ship drop thing and get you back in. All right, that's going to be it for me. I am working on this week getting my controller so that I can actually play some games, and we're going to play some Titanfall this week. And some other stuff that I want to play. But they said they've shipped it. It's a quad stick, so you have to like basically use your mouth to play the games that you want to play. So I'm probably going to do a mix input where I either play on a controller or I play on a... it's either going to be playing on a controller and the controller, like an Xbox controller and the quad stick, or it's going to be a keyboard on the quad stick. I haven't really decided which it's going to be. I think I'm going to do controller and quad stick because I kind of want to get the benefit of aim assist. But we'll see about that. Got to figure that one out. But so I just had to talk about Titanfall 3 because I kept seeing videos about leaks and rumors. It's so frustrating. But that's going to be it for right now. Be on the lookout for YouTube. I usually try and put the streams up in advance. I know I'm at least doing one probably this weekend with my buddy, forcing him to play Apex again. So that'll be great. Or not Apex, we're going to force him to play Titanfall. So he's an Apex player, we're going to force him to play Titanfall. I should also have a video for you all this week too to watch. Yeah. Alright guys, I will catch you all.